Whenever the principal wanted to find me, he would wait at the spot where I usually climbed over the wall. When I climbed over the wall again and saw the principal's awkward smile, I knew something was up. I jumped down, patted the dust off my clothes, and greeted him very politely. "Hello, principal." The principal gave a dry laugh. "Ha ha ha, hello, hello." Then, the principal introduced me to a few people standing nearby. "This is Muge." I followed the principal's gaze and saw 4 people, a middle-aged man and woman standing together with a young girl, and next to them was a young man in a sports vest. Su Fu, addressing the young man in the sports vest, said, "Master Qi, take a look. Is it him?" Xuan stopped 3 steps in front of me and said gently, "Excuse me, don't be afraid." I looked at her without any resistance. Xuan formed a hand seal, and a red thread floated out from Mrs. Su and slowly drifted toward me. Strangely, when the red thread reached me, it stopped moving and didn't wrap around me. Xuan said, "Madam Su, it's her." Mr. Su hurried over to me, as if wanting to hug me, saying, "My child." I took 2 steps back. The principal quickly explained, "Muge, they are your family." I looked at the 3 of them, without saying a word. When I joined the Special Abilities Bureau 2 years ago, I already knew, but I was born with little sense of familial affection. Since I was 12, I have walked alone, treading the line between life and death, and any sense of familial affection in my heart has long been worn away. Su Lingshui gave me a brief explanation. "I'm Su Lingshui, your older sister. 17 years ago, the Su family took home the wrong child. We've been searching for you for a long time, and finally found you." She said it was a mistake. But how could there be a mix-up in a VIP ward at a private hospital? It was clearly a malicious swap. Seeing that I didn't respond, Su Lingshui continued, "These are Dad and Mom. Come back to Zhongzhou with us." Just as I was about to speak, my phone rang in my pocket. I walked a few steps away, took out my phone, and checked the message. It was from Yue Yanning. "Brother, the paperwork at Zhongde is done. When are you coming to Zhongzhou?" I felt a headache coming on, and messaged Director Yue. "Is it possible for me not to go? Can someone else take my place?" Yue Anning replied, "Hey brother, you know no one else is the right age. You're the only one who should be going to college. If it weren't for those troublemakers in Team 20, you would have started at Zhongda months ago." Seeing this, I knew there was no way out. I sighed and replied, "All right, I understand." He typed back quickly, "Okay, everything is arranged. You can choose your major once you get to the university. When are you coming over?" "A private jet." I looked at the Su family representative and decided to handle it all at once. I replied, "Someone's coming with me. Ask Brother Xuan for details." I messaged Tang Xuan. "Is Master Qi reliable? If so, let's bring him in." I turned to Su Lingshui and asked, "When?" She was stunned. She'd expected a long argument, but I agreed in seconds. Uncle's expression, however, didn't look too good. The moment he heard it was the Su family, I immediately agreed. So eager, really. That night, the Lanzhou Special Abilities Bureau branch was in an uproar, with wailing and lamenting. Part of it was because they didn't want me to leave, and the other part was that there was just too much work to hand over. A beautiful young girl with white hair clung to my arm, heartbreakingly sad. "Muge, promise you'll come back." I nodded. "I promise. This is the weakest point of the southern border's barrier. I'll definitely come back." Seeing how serious I was, Lin Qingyan dropped her exaggerated theatrics, but her words still couldn't hide her sorrow. "The barrier's weakening," I added. "Once it collapses, a war between the 3 clans is inevitable. I'll never forget when the regional barrier broke 5 years ago. If the whole thing fails, the consequences are unimaginable. Time's running out for humans." Lin Qingyan said solemnly, "Don't worry, Lanjing, I'll guard it. No demons will enter Zhongzhou." The next afternoon, I flew to the imperial capital with the Sush. On the plane, my phone buzzed constantly. After replying to everyone, another message popped up just as I was finishing. It was a file name, Qi Xuan's personal profile. Qi Xuan, 20 years old, apprenticed under Qi Yunshan at Qi Yun Temple in eastern Zhou. A year ago, she left the mountain to make her way in Zhongzhou's imperial capital. She's known for her accurate fortune-telling and feng shui readings and has made quite a name for herself among the elite and the mystic circles in the capital. Wouldn't this make her hard to fool? In the blink of an eye, another file arrived, an introduction to the Su family. I opened it for a glance. It was even more detailed than the last one I received. It contained the life experiences of every member of the Su family, from birth to the present, especially that Su Zeyu, who was reported by mistake. It was even specially marked in red, followed by all sorts of information about the Su family's property distribution and other details. I didn't reply, just put down my phone. If it weren't for this mission, I really wouldn't want to leave Lanzhou. Only with me, personally guarding this place, can I feel at ease. Soon, the plane took off. Seeing me put down my phone, Su Lingshui tried to start a conversation, but before she could speak, I spoke first. "Let's do a paternity test when we get to the capital." As I spoke, I pulled a few strands of hair from my head, took out a small sealed bag from my body, put the hair inside, and handed it to Su Lingshui. Su Lingshui hesitated, so I stuffed it into her hand. "Hold this for peace of mind." I haven't decided on returning to the Su family, but I won't drag her into it. After she took the bag, I asked, "When we return, I'll arrange for you to repeat senior year. Is Zhongda affiliated high okay? It's the capital's best. The continent has 5 regions, prosperous Zhongzhou at the center, surrounded by Beizhou, Dongzhou, Nanzhou, and Xizhou. The capital is in Zhongzhou. No need, thanks. I'm going to sleep." Su Lingshui was stunned. "All right." I reclined my seat and drifted off as the credits rolled. I'd been busy handing over affairs in Nanzhou and just wanted some peace. Su Lingshui looked astonished, but didn't disturb me. There was no way to talk now. By the time we finally left that afternoon, Father Su was already impatient. Mother Su kept glancing at me. Seeing her mother looking our way repeatedly, Su Lingshui quietly told her that I was asleep. Then, Su Lingshui reached out and lowered the window shade. Xuan, who was sitting in the back row behind us, didn't feel offended at all when I suggested a paternity test. Instead, she felt as if she had found a kindred spirit. No matter how accurate her calculations were, the Su family surely still wanted to do a paternity test. If they offended her, it would be awkward, so it was best that I brought it up. But seeing me sitting there with my eyes closed, she then placed a hand over her own eyes, and after moving her hand away, her eyes were golden, but after looking at me, she shut them and hid the blood on her lips. From the front row, I glanced back at Su Lingshui. She asked, "What's wrong? Did I wake you?" "I'll be quiet." "It's fine," I replied. I then messaged Tang Xuan. "Be wary of Qi Xuan." Unaware, Xuan wiped her mouth, closing her eyes as she recalled the scene, feeling bitter. We finally landed at 11 p.m. An Imperial Capital assistant met us at the airport. Su Lingshui handed her a sealed bag with my hair and some instructions. Xuan looked at her card's balance indifferently, despite the extra zeros. As I prepared to leave, she asked to exchange contact info, surprising the Su family. I read out my number and dialed it so her phone rang. That's my number, Xuan. Call anytime. I then left, ignoring the Su family's expressions. Halfway there, he remembered how he hadn't been able to connect with his family at all today, so he turned back and said, "Could you come over for a moment?" Sensing that Xuan meant no harm, I walked over. Avoiding the Su family, Xuan quietly slipped a bank card into my hand and whispered, 6 zeros. After saying that, he left without looking back. I stared at the bank card in my hand, lost in thought. Isn't he supposed to be a celestial master? How did he turn into a money-giving child? Suppressing the odd feeling in my heart, I put the card away, casually responded to Su Lingshui, and followed her back to the Su family after arriving in Zhongzhou. I've witnessed countless scenes of open and hidden struggles among wealthy families. If the Su family didn't treat me well, they definitely wouldn't give me money. In this imperial capital, it's impossible to get by without money. Xuan usually keeps his money in 2 separate bank cards, and the one he just gave me is one of them, with about 5 million yuan in it. While thinking about what just happened, Xuan had already reached the doorstep. He secretly took out a talisman and held it between his fingers, warily eyeing the 2 people standing at the door. "Mr. Xuan, hello." One of them showed a badge and said, "Tang Xuan, Chief Commander of the Special Abilities Bureau. May I have a word with you?" The Su family villa is in a high-end residential area on the east side of the capital. After a 2-hour drive, we finally arrived at 1 in the morning. I got out of the car, handling my suitcase and phone until I entered the house. Only Su Zeyu was there, waiting anxiously in the living room. His parents promised not to abandon him after 17 years together. Father Su said the 2 would be brothers. When the family returned, Zeyu hurried over to greet them. "Dad, Mom, second sister, you're back." Father Su nodded. "Zeyu." Mother Su smiled and took Su Zeyu by the hand, then turned to introduce. "This is Muge." Su Zeyu forced a smile, looking a bit nervous. "Brother," he called. I glanced at him and said, "No need to call me brother, just call me Muge. I don't like such intimate forms of address." Perhaps startled by my cold demeanor, Su Zeyu shrank back a little and instinctively looked at Mother Su. Mother Su looked embarrassed, unsure of what to say. Father Su seemed displeased, frowned, and said sternly, "From now on, you and Zeyu are brothers. You're both children of the Su family." I looked at him in confusion, and Su Lingshui, standing beside me, quickly interjected, "Little brother just got home and isn't used to things yet. Take your time." Then, Su Lingshui asked the servants to fetch my suitcase. I took a step back, held onto my suitcase, and looked up at the Su family members. "Let's have a talk." The group sat down on the living room sofa, and I spoke first. "How do you plan to handle my identity?" The Su family had already thought about this, and planned to tell outsiders that the 2 of us were twins. Father Su said, "We'll just say you're the Su family's adopted son." Su Lingshui protested. "Dad, we agreed." Father Su cut her off, his words full of shrewd calculation. "The Su family can't have a son with a bad reputation. Su Zeyu has been raised as a wealthy young master since childhood, well-mannered and outstanding in his studies. Talented in many areas, and now studying at the Art Institute of Zhongzhou University. As for me, I climbed over walls, skipped exams, and played truant, just like a street punk. Acknowledging me would only bring shame. If he had known his biological son would turn out like this, he never would have come to pick me up himself. The Su family would never give up Su Zeyu for my sake. The moment he saw me, Father Su had already decided that Su Zeyu would be the only biological son of the Su family. Mother Su objected. "No, we should stick to what we agreed on, and say they're twins. He's your own flesh and blood too. You can take your time to teach him." Su Zeyu lowered his head slightly, saying nothing. I felt like an outsider, just watching them argue. I don't understand why the Su family went to such great lengths to find me, only to not want to acknowledge me, and even want to completely swap my identity with Su Zeyu's. But perhaps that's for the best. It saves me the trouble of worrying about it. Having made up my mind, I took 2 jade tokens out of my pocket and placed them on the table. The crisp sound of jade striking jade drew everyone's attention, and the 3 of them stopped arguing. Su Lingxi frowned. "Brother, what are you?" I stood up and pushed the jade tokens toward Father Su and Mother Su. "Since the Su family doesn't want to acknowledge me, and I don't want to come back either, I guess we're in agreement. These 2 jade tokens are to repay the kindness you showed me. We're even now." Susu's face darkened completely. She stood up, grabbed the jade tokens in front of her, and threw them hard onto the ground. The jade tokens remained intact. Fake. As soon as this thought crossed his mind, Father Su became even angrier and shouted sternly, "If you don't want to return to the Su family, then leave. The Su family will never acknowledge you." I got up and left immediately. Su Lingshui hurriedly picked up the jade tokens from the floor and rushed after me. Su Zeyu took the opportunity to cling to Mother Su. Looking very frightened, Mother Su said to Father Su, "What are you doing?" Seeing Su Lingshui chase after me, she felt relieved and turned to comfort Su Zeyu. Su Lingshui ignored the chaos behind her and chased after me on her own. Su Lingshui quickly caught up with me in a few steps and said, "Dad has a bad temper, don't take it to heart." He saw me walking while fiddling with a white phone, and as he got closer, he realized that the phone in my hand was the same brand that he had previously bought for Su Zeyu, though it was a model from 2 years ago. Even so, this phone cost over 10,000 yuan 2 years ago. I ignored his curious gaze. What does he have to do with me? After what happened today, everything between us is settled. Su Lingshui let out an "A," and looking down, saw that I had opened a ride-hailing app on my phone. He changed his tone and asked, "Where are you going? I'll take you. It's the middle of the night after all." "It's not safe to be alone. I have an apartment downtown. You can stay there for now." "No need. It's not necessary." As we spoke, the 2 of us walked to the entrance of the Su family villa. A flashy red sports car was parked to one side, and a man with dyed red hair, dressed in casual clothes, was leaning lazily against the car, greeting me. Su Lingshui was taken aback. "Isn't that the youngest son of the Ji family?"